Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This panel discussion could not have been better timed. This is happening as the GOC in C, the Army Commander, as he said, that this is happening on the eve of the country at the initiative of the Assam government led by Chief Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, celebrating or getting ready to celebrate the 400th birth anniversary of one of India's iconic military generals, Lachit Borphukan, who, as the head of the Ahom army, managed to defeat the invading Mughals. The Mughal force was highly superior, sent by Aurangzeb to conquer Assam, and he halted and managed to drive back the Mughals. That was in the 17th century. And that battle, that largely naval battle, was fought near where we are sitting today, that is on the banks of the Brahmaputra, around the Saraighat River, around the Saraighat Bridge in the Brahmaputra. And perhaps had Lachit Borphukan not defeated the Mughals, perhaps, who knows, the Ahom dynasty may not have continued till 1826, when, of course, the Treaty of Yandabu and so on, it came under British occupation. So that is the backdrop in which we are discussing or sitting to discuss today. And I have got two very, very distinguished panelists whose introduction has already been given. And the topics which they are going to present is extremely significant. One, the contribution of Northeast's role in India's freedom struggle, or for that matter, in nation building, and role of the army in promoting integration of Northeastern region with the national mainstream. Now, why is I'll just take 2 minutes before I invite the distinguished panelists to present their papers. Why is the Assam government doing this Lachit anniversary celebrations in such a mega scale? I would hazard a guess, perhaps it is because people like icons like Lachit Borphukan have remained buried in the pages of history, confined to Assam. Perhaps there is need for the nation to recognize Lachit Borphukan as a national icon. He's not just an icon of Assam. He was not an Ahom general alone. He managed to defeat the invaders and protect this far eastern corner of Bharat that was in the 17th century. Therefore, these are national icons. If Chhatrapati Shivaji was battling the Mughals in Western India at that time, because Lachit Borphukan was a contemporary of Shivaji, but how many people outside the country know that? Similarly, our freedom fighters, Professor David Syirmlieh is going to speak on that. Our freedom fighters, whether it is Kuhal Kumar, whether it is Kanaklata of Assam, whether it is Tirath Singh of Meghalaya, whether it is Bir Tikendra Singh in Manipur, and so on and so forth, whether it is Rani Gaidilu, who was recognized by the Indian government later. How many people outside the country know? But that doesn't mean that the Northeast doesn't have a contribution. The Northeast's contribution has to be recognized, that it has to come into the national discourse. And that is the reason why I really laud the efforts of the Eastern Command to engage in this kind of a discussion, because generally speaking, one would not have expected the army to have such kind of a seminar and discuss, but it is indeed a laudable effort, and therefore this is very, very significant. And secondly, the contribution of the Indian Army in promoting integration of Northeastern region and national mainstream. Every one of you officers of all ranks sitting in this hall, sitting in this place today, represent India. You know, you're from different parts of India. And if these officers alone are capable of integrating the Northeast with the rest of the country, because when you have your stints here, you go back and then talk about the region, I think you are all acting as ambassadors of the Northeast, not to speak of the social welfare work that the army is doing. Army is going beyond the call of duty. If there was an accident the other day in Mizoram where a stone quarry collapsed and 13 people died, it was the army who had descended on the scene. If there is a breeze has collapsed or washed away, it is the army which is on the scene. If there is a road accident in Arunachal Pradesh, it is the army on the scene. Now, army is recognized as the symbol of the Indian state because there are parts in the Northeast even today where food has to be airdropped. Things are going to change drastically. Of course, thanks to our Prime Minister, who has described, as the lady officer had said, as this region as the Asta Lakshmi. And he has made himself more than 50 trips to the Northeast in the past 8 years, which no Prime Minister had ever done before. This is something who everyone has to acknowledge. And the amount of money which is flowing, amount of funds availability for infrastructure development in the Northeastern region, particularly in the frontier areas, particularly along the border with China, is absolutely significant. And therefore, I always say, year 2022 is not 1962. We have a very, very capable and efficient army. We have the technology required. Only thing we need is the support of everybody, including each and every one of these countrymen.